The Poughkeepsie Tapes was John Eric Dodal's directorial debut. You may know him from Four Above, So Below, which is one of his later films. The movie is a mockumentary, but I don't think it's meant to satirize serial killers, but the law enforcement and the media apparatus that surrounds them. But it's done in a unique way of converging a serial killer documentary into the found footage genre. Usually with found footage movies, there's something that throws you off, being poor acting or the filming's done awfully. But I think the extremes of the film mask a lot of these smaller issues, that you're suspended in a state of terror, as one by one they show you these despicable snuff films that start with a child getting kidnapped, but somehow they find ways to make it worse and worse as the story carries on. That there's no point in the film that the tension's released. It makes you feel dreadful, like nothing can be done to stop what's happening. The serial killer depicted is terrifying. In many ways, they created the perfect serial killer, a man that cannot be profiled. He acts methodically in a pre-planned manner, while also being driven by emotions, which makes him almost impossible to pin down unless caught in the act. But it's not only the way that he acts, but the information he has access to. That he understands what a police profiler is looking for, so he subverts these techniques, changing his MO, making some scenes look clean and others disorganized, targeting all types of people, while also slithering around bureaucracy by burying the different body parts in separate countries so they would never be connected. But the police do find some evidence. He shows up on a surveillance camera, or he sends a link to the officers which gives him his address. Every time they found something out about him, it was because he wanted them to. He never gave the cops a chance, even when he gave them his tapes. In this way, he didn't want to sit in the shadows, but he wanted the world to see his masterpieces, that he believed his killing was his art form, that they needed to be shared, so he filmed each of them himself, that the Poughkeepsie killer saw himself as the greatest killer of all time, the way he tortured Cheryl Dempsey and how he would mutilate bodies like a surgeon, but they depict his mental state through more than just the killing. They give him another layer of oddity through his fetishes, that he is aroused by balloons which can be connected to death. You can only put so much pressure on a balloon before it pops, in the same way that a person can only take so much before they die. He is also a sadist, finding fulfillment through the pain of others, which can be seen primarily through Cheryl. His kidnapping and enslavement of the girl was due to his need for power, that he needs control over others. But they didn't make the killer the ultimate evil. He has some humanity, that he has to wear a mask to take him out of this state, so he can feel as though he's another, unlike the people he attacked. He has a sort of character he plays along with, that the mask brings out another personality from inside him that he normally keeps pushed down in his mind, whether this character is his true self or something he has manufactured. But it's not only the killer's character that makes these scenes so scary, but it's the aspect of the found footage genre which are emphasized in the way they film these murder scenes. They feel incredibly personal, as they didn't cut these scenes at all in editing. You don't feel like a fly on the wall watching this happen, but you have the killer's perspective, watching him sneak around or manipulate normal, unsuspecting people, but we know what's going to happen the entire time, waiting for the killer to administer his will. With pretty solid acting, this film can deceive you into thinking it's real. The beginning of the film works tirelessly to build up this idea that the Poughkeepsie killer could exist in society without you knowing. They want the viewer to think that serial killers are common and most of them fly under the radar of the media, lowering your guard to make you open to the idea that there could be an unknown monster, like Poughkeepsie, living in your backyard. Then you're flooded with interviews with FBI agents and profilers. It is shown that these tapes are used in the training of new agents. The victims' friends and family make emotional statements. They have a coroner thoroughly explaining the killings in the bluntest, unemotional terms. Then they have news reporting and trial footage, which they made look like recordings from late 90s television. And these aspects are all put together to build the scene for a normal serial killer documentary. That there are very few details that could be caught by someone watching the film for the first time. While I feel the movie is trying its very best to make this killer seem terrifying, there are some funny moments that pop up along the way, such as the man that was convicted of the crimes, that after his execution they determined that he was innocent, but they didn't print the paper until the day after 9/11, so it got pushed to the back page of the paper. So now the son lives in a limbo and everybody still believes that his father was a horrendous killer. It's truly just a goofy premise to throw into the movie as a small detail that gets moved away from quickly. But this leads to the true identity of the film. It's not satirizing the killer, it's satirizing the law enforcement and the media operations that surround these crimes. That they leave you with the knowledge that the killer is still in the lamp, but the FBI isn't putting all of its resources into finding such an animal. Rather, they're making a full documentary feeding into the killer's wants, spreading his tapes to the people, in the same way that the media will push a mass murderer's manifesto. That we sensationalize murder to such a point that something so fucked up as the Poughkeepsie Tapes could be perceived as real, that we see enough of this in media today that it wouldn't be that surprising that this exists. I just wanted to make this quick video because this movie's lived on in my mind for a couple years and I just stumbled upon it again. I think it's one of the most underrated horror films from the early 2000s. It's unlike any other found footage horror movie, and it's unlike any other mockumentary. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a good one.